Ooh, my hand is stuck. There it is. Ah, dang, what happened? What's up, everybody? PR and VR. So I had a little downtime this weekend, and I decided to go ahead and pop on the headset and jump through some of my old games, and I started playing Out of the Shadows. I originally was fully committed to doing a review on this game until I discovered that this game's not even on the MetaQuest store, and evidently it got pulled February 5th, of this year, by the developer himself, no less. And in this video, I'm going to mention the reasons he's listed. You can also go to outoftheshadowsvr.com and you can read the actual statement that he's put out. I do still want to give my thoughts on this game and why I like this game a whole lot, expressing a little bit of the frustrations I've currently had with Meta and what they're doing to indie developers. And lastly, why VR needs more titles like this game and the impact it has on the stealth genre, right, as a whole, and what we could learn from it. So with that, let's talk about the unlisting of the game. Now, for time's sake, I'm not going to go over the entire letter. I'm only going to hit the two major points that are mentioned in the letter. Again, I do encourage you guys to go read the full letter so you have a full understanding of what's going on. So between Meta getting their pound of flesh and the UK's crazy tax rules, Sam, the developer, he's only seeing about 30% of the sales. Now, I have no idea how the UK's crazy tax rules work, as I am your tea dumping cousin from across the pond. However, if memory serves me correct, when I picked this game up, it was $10 US. So, 30% of that is $3. And again, I don't know what Meta's, cut was, and I certainly don't know what the UK's taxes are. So, I'm assuming that either it was priced in the UK appropriately, or maybe not. Maybe it was running roughly around the same amount, which means it's very possible he saw even less. So for reasoning's sake, let's pretend maybe he saw only $1 per sale. I mean, that's a slap in the face of any developer. Even at $3, when you consider it's a solo developer and the time, the energy, the effort, everything that he's put into this game, it's still a slap in the face. I could reasonably understand someone saying, I'm just going to unlist the game. I'm not going to do any more work on it. I can't really afford to put that kind of time and energy in it. Now, personally, I hope he reconsiders. Maybe consider listing it at a higher price, or maybe just consider listing it on Steam. I don't personally know how Steam conducts their business. If anybody knows, feel free to leave it in the comments section. But this takes me back to my point with Meta. It seems like for the past year, maybe even longer, Meta has really made it challenging for indie developers to either get a title on their platform or allow indie developers to keep a reasonable cut of their sales. Developers already have to jump through a bunch of hoops in order to even get their game on the platform. But then they find their game also competing with knockoffs on Horizon World. Think about how many Gorilla Tag knockoffs there are now. And with MetaQuest being the most consumer-friendly VR headset, or I would even say entry-level headset, most consumers are going to get their hands on, it's the ideal platform for any indie game developer who wants to do VR to jump into. And this is exactly one of the reasons why I hope another standalone VR headset from another company emerges. See, the problem is that Meta has no real competition in this space, so they have no real reason to change, and they have no real reason to make it indie developer friendly. So I'm truly hoping we see more competitors in this space, and I hope soon. Now, Sam, the developer, also goes on to mention that a lot has changed in his life, marriage, moving, and what have you. And in addition to that, he is now a dad. And being a father of 4, I completely understand where his mind is when it comes to time and time management and priorities. So all in all, I understand the logic of his decisions. But I want to talk about what makes Out of the Shadows such a great stealth game. Unlike some of your more common titles like Metal Gear Solid or Tenchu or Assassin's Creed, if you're detected, you can immediately break line of sight, drop smoke, do something, you can go hide, and eventually the enemy calls off their dogs, so to speak. You're then able to re-engage. Well, that's not the same for Out of the Shadows. Out of the Shadows, if you're detected, it's game over. The higher the level of difficulty, the easier you are to be detected. And on the most difficult setting, you have to hide the bodies as well. Because even if a body is detected, it's game over. And believe me, this game will absolutely punish you for recklessness. This game forces you to really consider your actions, how you'll complete your objectives, how patient you can be, and your willingness to study enemy patterns. And with the detection system being so strict, the weight of your actions have a very real heaviness to them. And with the addition of free climbing, it allows you to tackle different routes how you see fit. It creates opportunities to get around the enemy altogether, or to go in for a really neat stealth kill. And honestly, looking at a screen doesn't do this game justice. You have to experience it. You have to experience the level of immersion and actually being in VR. It feels so much cooler. And I mean that. There is something about physically being in the game, being immersed in the game, having to actually make the moves, actually have to make the kill, actually have to hide the body, and have to actively make sure you're not being spotted, and actively working towards completing this mission that leaves you with a completely different experience. And while I've tried out Assassin's Creed VR, it doesn't feel the same. It feels like you're playing a mini game when you have to slice a certain way or block a certain way. This game doesn't do that. It doesn't hold your hand. Out of the Shadows doesn't hold your hand. It puts you in the driver's seat. It forces you to think like the assassin. It forces you to make the kill. It forces you to hide the body. It forces you to think about the route you're going to take. And are you studying the enemy? Do you know their behavior? Again, the game really makes you think about everything you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So that's going to about wrap up this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the content. If you have, please like, share, subscribe. I will be leaving links in the description section to the actual page for the developer, and also I'll add a link to the YouTube page that he had up for a while. Feel free to leave a comment there. Maybe tell him what you liked about the game. And who knows, maybe we'll see it again someday. With that, guys, that's all I got. God bless, be safe, have fun.